Rod says that he never really thought about ghosts one way or the other until one terrifying night, and this was 3 years ago, and he was on his way home. As he passed a local graveyard, he said he came face to face with not one, but two ghostly figures. And he says even though this frightening experience happened 3 years ago, the events of what happened to him still haunt him today. Rod, you have an incredible, like Michelle, this is an incredible story. Can you tell us what happened?
Sure. I was driving home one night. I had worked a late shift. I got off about 12:30. And there's a real nice country road to get home instead of taking the highway where you go past reservoirs and stuff. And this graveyard I drive past every night. And on this particular night, there was a low-lying fog, which wasn't unusual. The road was a little moist. And I was driving along, and I don't know if you've ever had the feeling of something next to you. And I turned real quick like that, and sitting next to me, as clear as Glenn sitting on this side, there was a gentleman, an older man, with a little brownish hat on and like a scruffy face looking straight ahead. And I did one of those, like a double take, and that figure was gone. It was only there for a second. When I looked up into the road, there was a woman about 40 feet away from me. And I put my feet on the brakes to slow down, not to jam them because the road was a little slick. And as soon as I touched the brakes, that figure came from 40 feet to right in front of the car, and her hand came up in a sweeping motion. And I felt not a wind or anything that people sometimes describe, but I felt a presence of some sort go past me, not touch me, but like if you waved your hand past your ear. I looked in the rearview mirror, didn't see anything, looked in front of me, and my lane of the road was a deep, dark.
Glenn had a terrifying experience, very much like Rod's, at another graveyard, but the second graveyard was only just down the road. And in Glenn's case, something even more incredible happened that's changed his life in a way that he would never imagine. What happened to you, Glenn?
I'm a fireman, a local fireman in the town.
You are?
We're talking about. And I was on duty that night, and we got a call to come in that some transformers had blown up next door to the cemetery. I had a police officer with me in the truck, and as soon as we got towards the cemetery, I was looking, side to side real quick on where to block off the road, when all of a sudden the police officer screamed, look out. And I looked in front of me, and there was a woman standing right in the middle of the road, all dressed in white, and I slammed on the brakes, and I couldn't stop in time. And when I hit her, she came over the hood of the truck and fell back onto the ground. And I just want you to understand that the truck stopped as if I had hit a brick wall. The rear end of the truck bounced up, everything on the seat flew to the floor. The police officer was thrown into the dashboard, and it was a totally open road. We jumped out to look, and there was nothing there. There was
nothing there?
No body, no blood, no clothing.
Any marks on the car?
Nothing. The truck's front end was completely pushed in. The bumper of the truck was pushed in.
Now, we are talking to a fireman and the policeman sitting next to him. The front is pushed in.
No, the police officer's not here today.
No, but I mean, you were with a police officer.
Yes.
The front is pushed in. There's no blood on the car?
There's no blood on the truck.
No blood on the highway?
Nothing. No body, no anything.
Anybody around you? Was there any other person on the road? Anyone?
There was a woman that was following behind me that I did not know, but because I had my emergency lights on, she was tailgating me to get in between the traffic. And when we had jumped out of the truck,
Is he certain that what Rod and Glenn say they've seen is real? It's because he says he has the pictures to prove it. He says when he first heard about a ghost sighting around the graveyards, he got very curious. So he went up there to take pictures and see for himself what was going on. And what he found is incredible. David, this is the same graveyards, right? Same
Yes.
place, same state. Tell me about the pictures. What did you capture what did you do? Did you just, if there's nothing there, what did you shoot?
Well, psychic photography, it's not really the individual who's using the camera that is taking a picture of a ghost. It is the ghost imprinting their image onto the film by a process called psychokinesis. And what they do is they will collect electromagnetic energy from anything that's alive, plant life, human life, animal life, even from something like a transformer fire. They can collect this energy and they'll form a mass of energy and then begin to use that to take a form, and this they project onto the film. And you don't see the energy while you're taking the pictures. It only comes out after they're developed.
So you randomly shoot pictures.
Yes, and I'm not a professional photographer. I have a $20 35 millimeter camera.
And
No,
you don't see anything.
Not a
But
thing.
when you develop the pictures, there's something on the film.
Yes.
We were looking, by the way, at your pictures last night, and we found what we think is a figure of a woman. Could this be one of the ghosts that you're talking about? There it is. People live in a house that they're convinced is haunted. They've only been living there since this June. But they say at this point they're so frightened by what they believe are eerie ghosts that they are ready to move. Helen, things have to be pretty serious if that many people are ready to pick up and move out so soon. What goes on? What kind of things happen?
Well, usually at night I'm woke up by somebody jumping on my bed all the time, or else it makes me look into where the boys sleep. Their door is open, and they have a little tiny night light which should just leave a little bitty glow. But this light is like a 100-watt bulb lighting up their whole room. And every day when I enter the house, my hair on my arms stand straight up and I get goosebumps going up to my bedroom. And things are always moved around on my dresser every day without fail.
Things are moved on your dresser.
Yes.
We can discount the fear, because the fear is the fear that if you told me your house was haunted,
Right.
I'd feel that way. But the bumping up and down on the bed and the lights.
Right.
The
I've
bright
also seen
lights.
spirits, seen a little boy.
Melody, do these things go on every day? I mean, what's a typical day like?
A typical day would be like hearing walking above me when nobody's upstairs, or the water going. That goes constantly every day, and nobody's in the bathroom, and I just get the strange feeling that I'm not alone when I am alone.
How does this affect the children?
It affects them deeply, especially my daughter Gwendolyn, and she is really scared, and
What
my
does your,
boys.
your husband say?
My husband, he doesn't admit to anything, to hearing anything.
He does not admit to hearing anything. You hear it. Where's your daughter? Do you hear it?
It's right there.
Yes.
Ghostly torment herself in a house that she lived in 8 years ago. She says the ghost finally just scared her so much she did the only thing she could do. She moved. Danielle, what happened in your house?
Well, I lived there 3 months, Sally, and that was too long.
Not this same house now.
No. No, they wasted no time. It started on the first night in the house. Began with walking around, cupboard doors opening and shutting. It started out rather mild, but then it progressively got worse. Got to the point where we could hear a man behind us laughing, and we'd turn around and no one would be there. He grabbed me on the shoulder and spun me physically around, and
You
no
felt
one was
it.
behind me. He locked my children in bedroom and the bathroom. I would take the entire doorknob off and try to get the door open, and I couldn't get them out. I had to take them out through the bathroom window, and as soon as I got them out, the door swung open.
Now, the last night there was pretty bad. What happened?
Well, right before the last night there, I actually saw one of them. I believe it was 2 different entities. I saw one. He came into my room the night of the earthquake. He climbed up onto my bed. He said he was there to protect me, and then I fell into a deep sleep. I woke up later with the whole entire house shaking, and I saw him sitting on the floor. I reached out to him, and he disappeared. Then I realized the next morning that it had really happened, because on the news they had said there was a 6.0 earthquake. And that's what I had felt, the entire house shaking. Then the last night that I was in the house, he knew that I was moving, and he was very upset. I was in my room and I could hear.
By a ghost, he said. On a Saturday night, a few months ago, he was attacked by the ghost in the men's room of a local club where he had gone dancing. And the nightclub where it all happened was none other than Bobby Mackey's Music World in Wilder, Kentucky. Now, as many of you may recall, we did a show about this very haunted nightclub a few months ago. Was it May or was... I said it was May, but
June.
it was June. July.
Well, this was it.
June, I believe.
June.
July. Okay. The difference is when we did it and when we aired it, so you understand. And during the show, we had Bobby and Janet Mackey, the club's owners. We even sent our own producer there to spend the night in the nightclub. Well, here we are again, and welcome back, and we're glad to have you with us, along with Doug Hensley, who wrote a book, and that's how we first heard about it, called Hell's Gate. And welcome back, Doug.
Thank you.
They're going to talk about what's happened since the show and what's going on with Rich. Before we talk about it, for those of you who didn't see their last appearance on our show, can we just show you a little videotape of that show? Okay.
And I heard some noises that sounded like cats fighting. And it was behind the bar, which was directly behind me. I was working on this game. And the boy that was working for us at the time was there with me. And I looked, I said, what was that? And I go over and look behind the bar, and nothing's there.
Nothing's there.
I did go in when I was 11 when they first purchased it, and it scared me to death.
And there was nobody in there. There was a ladder leaning up against the wall. And all of a sudden, and here come this ladder walking, just like anybody would walk. And I just froze in my steps. I'm like, what in the world's happening? And it was making a real shaking noise. And I thought, oh God, I'm dead.
Which is a natural feeling. Now, Bobby and Janet, one of you, if I remember the show 3 months ago, 4 months ago, one of you believes and one of you doesn't. Which one is the believer?
I am.
The wife is the believer. The husband says,
No.
Okay, it's your place. What has happened since we last saw you?
We have a lawsuit against us by Rich. He sued us, and it goes Rich. I said Rich right here. He sued us and said that he got attacked in the men's room.
Rich, you heard the club show, and I think I've known them low on these 20 years, but then I've been in broadcasting almost twice that. And they say ghosts are everywhere. They've also had their own encounter with Rod and Glenn's White Lady. Ed, let me ask you first, what is a ghost?
Well, a ghost, of course, would be the astral body of a once living person, or it could be an inhuman spirit, something which has never walked the earth in human form. Where you get the violence that some of these people are talking about, this would not be from a person who was once living. This would go into the diabolical. We find that during exorcisms that we have actually filmed such violence as these people are talking about right now, which are created by such spirits.
How come some people see ghosts and some people do not see ghosts?
It all depends on how you see it. You could see it clear visually, like a clairvoyant would see it. You could see it through ectoplasmic material, through the heat energy which is gathered from the people at a seance or in a haunted house, or the electromagnetic energy which they were filming in these graveyards.
But you believe in all of this. How do you explain the fact that Rod only saw a transparent ghost and Glenn saw a solid ghost?
All right. The night that Glenn went to the fire, there were 3 transformers burning. The electricity was just spewing out all over the place for hours. A ghost needs energy to manifest itself. The electromagnetic energy from the plant life around the graveyard was used, but also the electricity in the air. Now, people often see a haunted house depicted on a stormy electrical night. This is the reason for it, because that energy from the electricity in the air is being used. The molecular structure of the ghost on the night that Glenn hit it was solidified through this electricity. The night that Rod seen it, he was looking at a transparency and passed right through it.
Are there good ghosts and bad ghosts?
Oh, positively. You have
with them.
Well, there's a number of explanations, Sally. First of all, you have normal physical phenomena. For example, my house was haunted with strange rapping sounds and clawing noises underneath the house in the basement. I didn't call the Ghostbusters, I called Terminex, it was rats. The water in my house comes on and off, it was plumbing problems. At night, these things typically happen because, excuse me, let me finish.
How can you rationalize someone grabbing you?
I'm not rationalizing, I'm giving you scientific explanations for these things. I'm just on the physical so far. Okay. These things usually happen at night where it's cooler, the air is denser, so sound travels further. I can hear voices from my next door neighbor's house, for example. If my window's open, it sounds like children are playing in the next room, and they're not. It's the next door neighbors. Second, psychological things that are going on.
Can you explain $2,400 worth of damage to my truck?
Well,
I
You hit a-
think
you hit a cow.
Can you explain three